Okay, good afternoon, y'all. My name is Aaron Miller. I'm a physical therapist. I'm out of Kearney Physical Therapy in Fort Worth. I'm here with one of my ex-patients. Her name is Abby. And given that this is a the day to spread PT and what we're all about, I decided, with Abby's help, to do a little interview on her treatment and her experience through PT from her injury to where she is today. So we'll just take a few minutes and talk to her about her story. So, Abby, if you could take us through the start of your injury and then to the point where you started PT. So just kind of give us a brief overview of what happened to you.
Sure. I don't know what initially caused the injury. I mean, the assessment, the doctor's assessment, and we've talked about it, we think it was probably a combination of some repetitive things. I just know that on the morning of December 8th, I remember that vividly, I woke up and I was in such excruciating pain that I'd never known before. I could not move. I couldn't sit up without pain. I basically had to kind of maneuver myself up out of bed and things like that. I could not move my head. I mean, I literally could not move my head. I couldn't look up, down, left, right. Driving was a problem. Trying to sit at work was a problem. I just thought it was a really bad crook in my neck. So I just started taking some pain medication, and that after about 4 days, I realized that wasn't getting any better. So I went to the doctor, and he prescribed a series of medications, painkillers, anti-inflammatories, muscle relaxers, and a topical painkiller. So I went through that for a couple of weeks, still wasn't getting a whole lot better, went back, he just put me on another round of medication. When that wasn't helping, he scheduled me for an MRI. So my experience with the MRI is I went in and I couldn't lay down for the MRI. It was too painful to lay down. So I had to reschedule the MRI, go back again, severely medicated just so I could get through it and everything. And in my second doctor's visit, he had told me, okay, so here's the progression. You know, we're going to try this. We'll get the MRI. We'll see what that shows. And then we might try some physical therapy, or there's always surgery, okay? So once I got the MRI and read those results, he decided to go ahead and start with the physical therapy, and still not taking surgery off the table, really just saying, okay, we'll see how this goes, you know, and then keep him posted, basically.
Sure.
So I guess it was shortly after the first of the year when I had my first appointment here.
So then you're talking about 6 weeks from the time of your injury,
Right.
about, well, December 8th to January 1st, about 4 weeks really.
Yeah.
And from your initial cause of pain till you got into therapy.
Right.
So by this time you've already seen the doctor, what now, 3 times you said?
The doctor twice, and then the MRI.
Yeah. So and then finally we get to come into therapy.
Right.
And so now that you've been in this 4-week stage, we get to meet her and talk with her. Now tell us about your PT experience.
So yeah, so my first visit here, of course, you did the initial assessment, and I don't know what all my numbers meant, you know, at the time, other than I was still in a lot of pain and I couldn't move. And, you know, we talked about what my goals were and things like that. And my goals were obviously not to be in pain, and I wanted to be off the medication. I was taking a lot of medication just to get through the day. And then also to be able to sleep at night, okay? And still not, you know, seeing, I mean, I couldn't be at work very long because I couldn't sit. I couldn't drive because I couldn't move my head. So that was, you know, that was a factor. And so I'm trying to work from home, but I'm still doing it in a lot of pain, trying to move around in positions and everything. So within 2 visits here, after my second visit here, I was already starting to see relief. I was able to at least get through the day. I wasn't, I mean, the pain was still there, but it wasn't nearly as excruciating. So I was already starting to see results, which was encouraging.
And just so we know, where was your pain located when you started physical therapy?
In my neck, right here at the back of my neck. And my understanding is it was a compressed nerve, I think.
And did it travel down your arm as well?
Yes, yes.
All the way to the fingers, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
so the tips of my index finger, my middle finger on my left hand were numb, as well as my thumb. And so those were, they weren't like dead numb, but they were numb, and had been for, you know, a few weeks. And so, and then in the mornings, you know, when I would get up, I'd have that pain just shoot down my arm. And then, you know, when I try to move my head in certain positions and things like that. So, just through, like I said, by my second visit, I was already seeing progress. So I was very encouraged and was convinced that this was going to work and
Sure.
surgery was not going to be an option. So, so I dealt with that pain for, 4 or 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we started out with 3 times a week. That went for 2 or 3 weeks.
I think maybe 2 weeks, and then
Yeah, and then we backed
Sure.
off to a couple of days a
Mhm.
week, and so basically within a month,
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah.
I mean, I was back. I had full mobility back in my neck. I had no more pain and everything. And when I left here, I still had a little of the tingling in my arm, but it was sporadic and
Mhm.
mostly in the morning time.
Mm-hmm.
I have none of that now.
And just so we know, when did how soon after starting physical therapy did you notice you were taking less pain medication in order to sleep or to lay
Within
down?
a week, I was backing
Yeah.
off on the medication.
Yeah.
And before I even stopped physical therapy, before I was done here, I was off the medication altogether.
Yeah. And
So
so currently, what are you back doing?
I'm back to exercising other than but fighting off a cold. But yeah, so I'm back to work. I don't have any issues there. I'm back to exercising, not taking medication,
Yes.
and I'm basically back to my life. So
That's right. So this is just one of the cases that patients can gain so many results and get back to normal functioning with the aid of physical therapy. And we always are educating patients that I have on getting into therapy sooner and faster because the results are there. And I think getting in 4 weeks was okay, but that was also after multiple doctor's visits, being on pain medication, getting an MRI, where that could have been all avoided if she would have gotten into PT sooner. But now she knows, and
Yes.
hopefully y'all will know as well that this is something that PT can help with, and I see it all the time. And we really appreciate Abby spending the time to tell us about her story. And
I'm a huge advocate now because I will tell you that I was not a fan of taking a lot of pills during the day.
Yeah.
And knowing now what I didn't know then I mean that if I get anything even remotely close to that again, then that's going to be the first thing I ask my doctor about.
Yeah, and that's just one of the stories. So that just goes to show you, get PT first, spread the word, spread the movement. If you're interested at all, or you're in the Fort Worth area, you can look us up. I work at www.Curnyn, physicaltherapy.com. I am one of the therapists on staff, and come see us. Keep spreading the word, and we love to see you. So thank you all. Thank you, Abby, for your time,
Sure.
and keep going.
Absolutely.